The Indian Super League's resumption, which is set to happen in February, was obviously good news for Indian football fans, given that the league had gone on for months in a state of limbo, despite the fact that there is, teams there, there's a full-on infrastructure, yet the lack of a master rights agreement and a broadcast deal pretty much brought the league to a halt. However, the fact that the season will resume and take place in a truncated manner was obviously going to bring about some degree of long-term issues for the clubs, things that they would no doubt have to ask for some form of redressal, and that is exactly what has happened with probably one of the more easier targets in mind. The clubs are now taking aim at promotion and relegation taking place, saying that perhaps now is not the time to actually be doing that in the ISL. They've written a letter to the Sports Ministry requesting that promotion relegation be suspended for a few seasons because there needs to be some degree of stability before such sporting merit comes into play. We'll go over some excerpts from the letter before we discuss in detail why it is that this issue has come about and whether or not these demands are even feasible. First off, you have to look at what it is that the ISL clubs, all 14 of them, said to the Sports Ministry in a letter, starting with this pointer: attaching sporting and financial consequences such as relegation would risk undermining both sporting integrity and investor confidence. That is what they've said as the main pointer as to why they feel relegation needs to be stopped, at least for the time being. They've even, in this same letter, put out a time frame for what they feel is when promotion and relegation needs to be started again. What is that time frame? They say it is respectfully submitted that the league requires a defined stabilization period of approximately 3 to 5 years to restore sporting stability. So what the ISL clubs are in essence saying is suspend relegation and promotion for at least 3 to 5 years so that there can be some sporting stability. Now, for those of you saying or thinking that this is unprecedented, it's not. Promotion and relegation being stopped in Indian football's domestic leagues is a fairly common practice. In fact, the ISL ran for nearly a decade without actually having proper relegation. There was promotion, sure, but there's no relegation into the I-League. However, it would really call into mind that one of the reasons that the ISL actually established or started having promotion in the first place was because India was threatened by AFC sanctions, saying that if promotion relegation isn't implemented, it goes against the very FIFA sports code and regulations that are put about, and therefore you'd be going against that, you'd be risking suspension or a ban. Can, in this case, the ISL clubs say that no, there's going to be no promotion relegation? Can anyone say that? Is there going to be a risk of another ban? Obviously, it has happened in the past that we faced temporary suspensions, but if this were to happen again, is there a guarantee that there would be nothing of this? Clubs are saying this is a force majeure sort of a circumstance, and that is agreeable. What does that mean? That they will still be able to get away with no promotion relegation for at least 3 to 5 years? It seems unlikely. However, it does seem like the clubs are looking out for their own interests here and saying, look, we want it, just not right now. If you ask me, I'd say at best you could suspend it for this season, and maybe from next year you could resume with promotion relegation the way it was before. However, no such decision has been taken on the matter yet, and it remains to be seen what it is the Sports Ministry will have to say on this particular matter. Now, do you agree with the demands of the clubs, or do you think that they're asking for too much in this case? Let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook, and stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.